This relatively unassuming M4, the APS Kompetitor line, might just be the best budget starter AEG in 2025. But don't just take our word for it. Let's take a closer look at what makes this an excellent first airsoft gun. Starting with the price, for just about 230 bucks Canadian, it's easily one of the most affordable AEGs on the market, leaving room in your budget for necessities like good quality eye protection, BBs, and batteries. Now, it is a polymer body and rail with some metal hardware and a metal barrel instead of full metal of higher priced guns, but players might genuinely appreciate a lighter weight gun that they can easily run around with all day. If you're just looking for the most realistic replica possible, now this might be a deal breaker, but we think for many players, a polymer body is well worth the trade-off for a much cheaper price and better internals. Which leads us to the real selling point of this gun. It features the Silver Edge mech box, the same mech box found in their higher end full metal AEGs, going for double the price. It features a MOSFET unit and microswitch trigger. Basically, it has a little computer board inside that regulates electrical power and firing. This means it's one of the only AEGs in this price class suitable for higher power 11.1 volt lipo, without severely shortening the lifespan of electrical components. A more powerful battery does not change muzzle velocity, as velocity is dictated by the spring, but rather you will get a much faster trigger response and rate of fire. Here it is on a 7.4 volt lipo. Not bad at all, but there is a small delay that could mean you miss that crucial shot as your target moves behind cover. And now here it is on 11.1 lipo. Way snappier and feels much more responsive, and follow-up shots are quicker as well. Another benefit of a computer-controlled MOSFET system is you get a consistent shot no matter how you pull the trigger. With a standard AEG, if you pull the trigger a little too quickly, the motor simply doesn't have enough time to complete a full cycle, and you can end up with a half cycle without actually shooting anything. With the MOSFET, using the same 7.4 volt lipo, you can see no matter how quickly I tap the trigger, it always completes a shot. A MOSFET system also means it can support features like burst fire. On this gun, there's a little convenient button inside the mag well. Simply press and hold until it flashes, and you can cycle through 5 different shooting modes. Unplugging the battery will default back to standard, safe, semi, and full auto. There's 2-round burst, which is pretty unique, 3-round burst, which is pretty realistic for some real-life military rifles, and even a crazy 9-round burst mode, which kind of feels a little like a runaway gun, but it's fun that it's there. The mech box features a robust quick change spring design to change velocity without fully taking apart the mech box, but you still do need to remove the mech box from the gun itself. Air seal components are good quality and put together with a nice amount of grease, not too thick and not too sparse either. Everything moves smoothly. The nozzle up front is a nicely turned metal unit, a rarity in this price range, and it has an O-ring inside for a nice air seal. Piston and piston head look great, and I'm happy to see full metal steel piston teeth, which is great for longevity, especially on 11.1 lipo power. I'm also happy to see a bearing inside the piston, which combined with the bearing spring guide means the spring can freely rotate while it compresses, which prevents binding and makes each shot a little bit more consistent. Gears ride on bearings instead of bushings, which helps with efficiency and shot response. Nice and smooth right out of the box. Standard 18:1 gear ratio offers a good mix of torque and speed. The motor is a high torque Evolution Edge motor that rides on bearings. Might be worth upgrading down the line, but honestly, it works great stock. Barrel group is pretty standard fare with a 6.04mm steel inner barrel and nice strong metal hop-up unit. Nothing groundbreaking, but it's put together well, and the hop-up wheel is nice and stiff. Barrel and bucking could be a spot to upgrade down the line, but in our testing, just like the motor, these were more than adequate straight out of the box. The APS Kompetitor line is available in 2 different flavors. We got the longer E307 with 14.5-inch barrel, The barrel is metal and comes threaded with standard 14mm counterclockwise thread if you want to swap out muzzle device. Comes with a vertical grip and RIS grip panels as well. Iron sights are standard triangle front sight and flip up rear sight. For those that prefer more of a CQB setup, we got the shorter E308 with 10.3 inch barrel. A little bit lighter weight. It comes with a classic CQB-R style rear sight, which I prefer over the flip up sight for a bit more durability. It does not come with a vertical grip or rail panels, but is also $5 cheaper than the longer E307. Included magazine is a standard metal 300 round high capacity magazine. Fitment is surprisingly nice with very little front to back and up and down play and a little bit of lateral play. Charging handle and dummy bolt work well to reveal hop-up adjustment, but there is no bolt lock on this model, so you'll just have to hold it open manually. Battery installation is super simple on these models, which is great for beginners. Simply pull back on the delta ring and the bottom of the rail pivots downwards. Lots of space for batteries. With smaller lipo packs, you could even fit a spare battery inside if you wanted. Just be mindful not to pinch any wires and remember to always unplug the battery after use. Onto the range now. We'll start by loading up the high cap. Pour BBs into the trapdoor and wind up the coil spring. I like to give it a good shake just in case any rounds are stuck. 10 winds or so is a good baseline. We're starting off with a 7.4 volt LiPo battery. Feels great to shoot, consistent trigger, and no weird flyers. It's harder to tell on this 20-foot range, but accuracy felt great out of the box. Certainly enough to hit 12 out of 12 of these smaller targets on the first attempt. When the gun runs dry, but there is still rounds in the magazine, simply give it a couple winds and keep shooting. High caps are nice and convenient, but on the field, most players prefer mid caps that you load once with a speed loader and shoot them all without winding. Consistency seems quite good, hovering right around 380 feet per second. Rate of fire on 7.4 LiPo is right about 10.6 rounds per second. Swapping to an 11.1 LiPo, we can see velocity is largely unchanged, still at about 380 feet per second. Rate of fire is bumped up to 16.5 rounds per second. Aiming at some targets, accuracy is of course unchanged with 11.1, but shot response is definitely tighter. Again, able to hit all 12 out of 12 of the smaller targets. Really impressed with the consistency and accuracy straight out of the box. With a simple button press, we can try out burst function. Might not be the most functional, especially as it generally counts as full auto and won't be allowed at most fields, but it's still a cool feature on the range. I hope all this gives you a pretty good rundown on why we think this is one of the best starter guns in 2025. You're getting a very well featured internal set that's 11.1 LiPo ready out of the box at a nice budget friendly price. As always, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this one, and I'll catch you on the next one.